Hi everyone, this is Loveland Johnson. I am a John Maxwell certified leadership coach. Today we are going to be looking at the law of priorities from the 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership. Let's get started. Before we get started, I have a question. Have you ever had a day filled with activities, but at the end of the day, you felt like you didn't accomplish anything? Does that resonate with you? It sure does for me. There are many times when I felt like I'm so busy, but when I look back, I often wonder, what did I even achieve? The law of priorities states that leaders understand that activity is not necessarily accomplishment. Leaders understand that activity is not necessarily accomplishment. The reasons we often, as leaders, fail to prioritize the task in front of us is because we are caught in this myth. We think that being busy, doing a lot of things means we are being productive. But often it is not the case. Activity is not equal to achievement. We could get caught up in the culture of being busy and we get sucked into it. The second reason is sometimes we are so short sighted that we only look at the picture that is in front of us. But in order for us to prioritize the task, we need to have a big picture thinking mindset. We need to know, have a clear vision of where we are going, and we need to know the many steps that we need to take, and we should be able to prioritize those things. When we don't have clarity on where we are going and we don't have a clear vision, often we make wrong decisions because we are looking at the small picture, we're not looking at the big picture. Another thing that often is a stumbling block when to prioritize is we have to make tough decisions, because if you decide among the 10 things, the five of it has to go away, you can no longer do that because you don't have the time or the potential to do it, because you have to prioritize on the important tasks. You have to now let go of these tasks. That is painful. You have to look at someone in the eye and say, I can no longer do this. It no longer fits into my priority list. It is a hard, uncomfortable thing to do. And often leaders are not comfortable to confront people and say no to things. And so they end up doing, oh, how long was this task going to take? I might as well do it, because they no longer want to explain that to someone. Because of that, they end up doing the things that they've always done. In the past, when I was thinking about this law of priorities, I often just worked by a to-do list. I put everything into the to-do list. I would sometimes reorganize or do something, but overall, I'll just work on the to-do list. But later on, I read a book, Born to Win by Zig Ziglar, and that kind of opened my eyes on things that are important to me. He talks about a wheel, and what he said is there are eight spokes. One is fitness, one is faith, another one is career, family, friendships, finance, fun. He said if someone is focusing on just a few spokes and neglecting some spokes, what happens is their quality of life gets impacted. A perfect example is, think about people in their 30s and 40s. They generally enjoy a great health. What they do, they at work, they are promised promotions and all that stuff. They focus on their career and often neglect their health, because health is fine. You don't have to focus on it. It's, you're still functioning and able to do many things. But we forget that it is impacting us by just completely ignoring that spoke. We are not having a proper life. And to me, honestly, I don't know if this resonates with you. To me, the Wheel of Life was such an eye opener, and it really helped me focus on the important things that I should be doing for myself. And that means faith, because I'm a person of faith, and that is very important. Fitness, I love to work out because movement is good. I mentally and physically feel good when I move. So, fitness is very important to me. Career, of course, that's where the bread comes in. So, career is important. My family, that's the heart of who I am. That is important. Intellectual, I like to feed myself by reading good books and understanding different authors' mindset, and that has helped my personal growth. Friendships, if not for them, I won't be who I am. Having fun and doing bird watching or skating or doing fun activities are important to me. And last but not the least, spoke, which I always struggle, is finance. These are the things, and it helps you have a balanced life when you prioritize the important things in your life. John Maxwell says, give your best time to your best priority. If you say family is important to you, give your best time for your family. The book actually talks about not just managing your to do list, it wants you to prioritize your to do list. The best example is the 80-20 principle. Most of you know Wilfredo Pareto brought the 80-20 rule, and what he said was 20% of our activities yield 80% of the results. Think about it. 20%, just a few activities, give you 80% of your results. You can see how important a few priorities are in overall things. Let's assume if you look at the graph here, you have 10 items and you list them by priority. If you worked on the last 8 items, what is the return that you get? You get only 20% of return. What it tells us is this is why being smart is so important. If you focused on the first top 2 items, it would have given you 80% results. But if you focused on the last 8 items, it will give you only 20% results. So it tells you the importance to prioritize. You may have a big running list, but prioritize the important things and work on the important thing that would give you the maximum result. And that's the Pareto's principle in action for us. It's the same with people. So often we focus on people who are very difficult and who will give us a very small return. We don't focus on people who would help us grow and give us a maximum return. So always prioritize and focus on things that would give you the maximum result. I love this quote by Johann Wolfgang von Goethe. It says, things that matter most must never be at the mercy of things that matter least. Think about it. That's what the law of priority is. The book talks about 3 questions that we could ask to help us prioritize our tasks. And the number 1 question is, what is required of me? What is something that only you can do and you should do? That's the question you need to answer. What gives the greatest return and what brings the greatest reward? What is required of me? If you think about you as a person, you have a responsibility at work and then you have a personal responsibility. At work, they pay you because you are expected to do 10 items every day. And so you need to show up and do those 10 things because that's why you are paid in the first place to do those tasks. You cannot say, I'm no longer going to be doing those tasks because that's in your job description that you are expected to work on those things. You need to work on things that you are accountable for. The same happens at home too. You are a mother, you're a parent, you are a child. You have different roles, and that role can only be done by you. It cannot be done by someone else. So that responsibility falls on you, and you are responsible to take actions for those. Anything else that doesn't fit into those type of what is required of me can go. You can ask yourself, is this necessary? Can I pass it on to someone? Or if it's not necessary, you can completely eliminate it or delegate it to someone. The second question to ask is, what gives the greatest return? People are often more productive and are able to contribute more when they work on their strength zone. We are all naturally gifted in our own strengths and skills. So let's work in our strength zone. The book says move out of your comfort zone but remain in your strength zone. Sometimes you could remain in your strength zone, but there could be some items that you could delegate. Still delegate it, but try to work in your strength zone. Don't work on your weaknesses, but work in your strength zone. The next question to ask is, what brings the greatest reward? And I thought this question is so powerful because there are certain things that you would do in life that gives you great personal satisfaction. You light up, you are you because you show up in those moments. So don't pass it on and don't eliminate those things. Keep doing those things. If golf is a game that gives you joy and personal satisfaction, do it. So anything that gives you that fulfillment and joy, keep those things. When I was thinking about an example that I could give for the law of priorities, Apple came to my mind. This company sort of personifies the law of priorities so perfectly. When Steve Jobs took over Apple in 1997, the company was losing money. They were in the brink of bankruptcy at that time. But what did Jobs do? The number one thing he did when he took over Apple, he eliminated 70% of Apple's product line. It's said that he famously drew a line and he wrote consumer, professional, and then he drew a vertical line and he wrote a desktop, laptop. Anything that didn't fit into these four categories, he eliminated those products. Think about it. Some of the products that were probably good, he had to eliminate it so that Apple can only focus on things that is important to them, that would bring them revenue. And sure enough, he turned Apple into a great success story because he was able to focus on the top things that Apple should be focusing on. And that's the law of priorities. It doesn't mean that we have to do many things, but we can do a few things perfectly well. How do we apply the law of priorities? Pick an area that you're struggling with and focus on that area. Ask yourself, what should I eliminate? What are the things that I can delegate? And keep doing those things that only you can do. Also, list your items, the tasks that you're working on in the order of priority, and focus on only the top one or two items in that priority list. And what it means is, by focusing on the top one or two items, you probably are going to get 80% of your result by focusing on just that few items. Focus on those items so you are doing the important things well. The next thing you ask is the 3R questions. What is required of me? What gives me the greatest return? And what gives me the greatest reward? When you answer these questions, keep those things and the rest can be eliminated. I would like to close by quoting John's, you cannot overestimate the unimportance of practically everything. So you need to identify and prioritize the things that truly move the needle and eliminate the rest of the things that doesn't fit into the priority items. I hope you found this session helpful. Next week, we will be looking at the law of sacrifice. Hope you would join me there. Thank you.